I want to introduce you to this wonderful, very puzzly 1 to 4 player game called Shifting Stones. It's got great components. I'm going to show them to you in just a second. And yeah, if you hadn't heard of it before, here's the back of the box, right? You have these gorgeous tiles, you have some cards, and you can play it solitaire, like I said, and up to 4 players. So what you're going to be doing in this game, let me show you actually a couple of the components. You have a bunch of cards, right? And then these cards, this is what you'll have to set up, and I'll go into that in just a second, right? To get that point, right here, you'd get 2 points for doing that, and they have all the way up to 5. There's cards that have 3 points, right? If you set that up, you'll get 3 points, and some of them you'll get 5. These are harder to do. Well, gee, Alex, why would that be harder to do? Because, let me show you the tiles. These are gorgeous, right? And they're kind of raised a little bit. I mean, these are nice, thick tiles, and they're double-sided, right? One side white, the other side green, purple. Actually, yeah, that's green. This is like a light blue. That's the only pet peeve I have. These kind of look similar depending on the lighting in your room. So you have that, you know, orange and then red. So, and then you have black and yellow, right? Sun and moon. So these tiles are gorgeous. Look at close up. Look at that. It's really, really nice big tiles. A joy to play with them. What you're going to be doing in this game, you're going to mix these tiles, you know, flip them, you know, upside down, whatever, mix them, and you're going to create the grid, right? You do a little 3x3 grid. So you'll have that, and then you're going to be dealt 4 cards. If you're playing, let's say, a 2-player game, you're going to be dealt 4 cards. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at these cards, and you're going to see if you can, you know, from because everybody playing this game have the same perspective. So there's like one of the cards here. It's this dark. I'll show you this card in more detail, but you basically mark where the perspective is. So this would be the top. So regardless of where you're sitting, like for instance, usually if I'm sitting opposite another player, just to make life easier for them, I'll look at my cards upside down, right? Because if this is the top, and I'm looking at it from this angle, right, from over here, then by putting my cards upside down, I can see exactly, well, in this case, it wouldn't really matter, right? But, you know, something like that. From my opponent's perspective, you know, they would be looking at setting this up. I would flip my card. You know, I've played sitting off to the side, and I just keep my cards, you know. Some people don't need to do that. They could just look at the card, you know, right side up and be able to, you know, just naturally get the perspective a bit. But because there's a little bit of thinking that you have to do with this puzzly for sure game. It's a puzzle game in my opinion. I'd like to just make things easier for me with by orienting the cards as I'm holding them. But you're going to get 4 cards on your turn. And you're going to, let's just keep everything right side up, okay? This is the top, that's your card. You got to try to create this situation. And how do you create this situation? Well, you have 4 cards in your hand. If you get rid of a card, if you put it into the discard pile, you're able to flip one of these tiles over to the other side. And here's the handy dandy guide, right? It tells you what color the tile is on the other side. So the purple one here, if you flip that over, it's going to be that light blue, right? If you flip over that green one, it's going to be white, right? So if you discard a card, you're allowed to, on your turn, flip one of these tiles over. You can also discard a card to be able to change the position of 2 tiles that are directly adjacent to each other. So we could, you know, get rid of a card, put it in the draw pile to switch the position of these 2 or these 2. You can't switch diagonals, right? Like you wouldn't be able to do these two or that one and that one. They have to be directly adjacent, and you switch the position of these. So by getting rid of 2 cards of the 4 you have in your hand, you can do that. Now you could do it with 3 cards. You could do it as many times as you want. So let's say for me to get the configuration that I need on my card, that I need to flip 3 of these tiles over. Well, I have to get rid of 3 cards, and then let's say I flip that one over, that one over, and that one over, and then I can look at my card and go, okay, I can score 5 points because I was able to, let's say put another orange one right there. Right? Actually, in this case, I just noticed here, it has to be this way, orange, and black, right? So, but let's say that wasn't there. Let's say it was just this little square here. That could go anywhere. That could be here and here. That could be here and here, right? So you're going to have to manipulate these tiles to try to get what you need. Once you achieve that, you just, put that down as your points, right? It's puzzly. You're going to have to move around, and you're playing against an opponent. The opponent it's almost, in my opinion, a waste of time for you to study your cards really hard while it's your opponent's turn, especially if you're playing 3 or 4 players, because by the time your turn comes around, that board might look completely different, and you wasted all this time going, okay, I can do this, I can flip that one. So just wait until it's your turn, you're familiar with your cards, then you do what you need to do to score a card. So everybody gets one of these, which tells you what's on the other side of these tiles, and the turn actions here, right? The turn actions. Now, if you're playing a 2-player game, if you score 10 cards, forget the points, right? Because the cards will have different points on them. If you score 10 cards, the game's immediately over, okay? For a 3-player game, it's 9 cards, right? As you can see there, right? And this will explain exactly what I just explained to you, that you can shift stones by discarding a card. You can flip stones by discarding a card. Another thing you can do, you can score a card, and another thing you can do is end your turn. You can just skip your turn. Actually, that's down here. Skip your turn. You can skip your turn if you can't do anything, if it's too difficult, if it's too much of a brain burn. You have 4 cards in your hand. You skip your turn. You draw 2 more cards. So now you have 6. So now for sure, next turn you should be able to do something, right? But you can't do that 2 turns in a row, okay? But that's it. I mean, the game is fairly simple as far as rules are concerned, except that, figuring out how to set the tiles up so you can score these cards is quite tricky. There's another little rule there that at the end, whoever has the most 1-point cards gets the 3-point bonus. So that's kind of cool too, and I've won a few games that way. The reality of shifting stones here is that you're just going to do what you can do on your turn. You're not going to, sometimes you'll get the option of maybe doing this one or this one, and you might opt to get the 2-point card, right? Because you'll have to, discard a couple of cards and stuff. You're just not going to have enough cards in your hand to be able to do both, okay? But you may choose to get the 2-point card. But remember, if you have more 1-point cards at the end of the game, you get a 3-point bonus. So there's a little decision you have to make there. And there's a luck factor here, right? Because like I said, on your turn, you're just going to do what you can do. You have to think about it, right? If I flip this and then I switch these 2, I'll be able to get 1 card done. And then if I discard another card, I can flip this one and I can get another card done. And maybe you can get 2 cards, scored on your turn. But you're just going to do what you're going to do, what you have to do on your turn. So there's the luck factor, because it just depends on the draw of the cards, right? What 4 cards you get and how the board looks. It's happened. Just last night I was playing this game, and I was just very fortunate in a lot of turns. Like, we were playing a 3-player game, and by the time it was my turn, I would look at my cards, and the board just happened to be ready for me to score 2 cards. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to flip. I didn't have to switch. I didn't have to do anything. It just so happened that player 1 shifted the board a little bit. Player 2 shifted the board a little bit. By the time it got to my turn, I could just score 2 cards. So there's a luck factor here, but it's fun. It's a fun brain burner. When you play solitaire, it's a puzzle game, right? When you play solitaire, you're gonna separate 16 cards, okay? 16 cards, and if you can get you have to score every turn. Every turn you have to score, and you have 4 chances, only 4 possibilities of not scoring, right? So what you do when you play a solo, you'll get there's 4 of these. There's actually 5 of these, because this one, the black one, you usually put on the table to indicate what the top of the tiles are, right? So all the players know, okay, this is the top. But it comes with because it's 4 players, it comes with 4 of these player guides, and what you'll do is you'll use those every time you can't score on your turn on the solitaire, right? Okay, I couldn't score this turn. You take one of these, you put it off to the side. So that keeps a score for you. If you get rid of all 4 of these, you lose the game before you score all 16 cards. But you have to score a card every turn. So it's an interesting puzzly solitaire game. I really enjoy it. Shifting Stones, again, there's a luck factor here, because sometimes the board will just shift perfectly for you. You're able to score more points than your opponent, and on your turn you're going to do what you're going to do. You're going to think, you're going to go, okay, this is what I can do, so you do it. Sometimes you won't be able to do anything. But Shifting Stones are gorgeous tiles, right? Gorgeous tiles, nice to play with. It's a fun game. It's a thinky game. It's a puzzly game. And if this is the kind of thing that blows your hair back, Shifting Stones, go get one.